Well, hello everybody. We are coming to you live. At least I hope we are. Um, I am doing this for the first time in quite a while, and so hopefully, if you are seeing this, if you're coming on the stream, then please just let me know that you're able to hear me, that you're able to see everything, and that we are definitely live and rolling here. So right now I'm kind of listening to the post game presser with Ron Rivera. The Washington Commanders, they played a tough game today against the Arizona Cardinals, but they came out on top 20-16. This was a defensive battle. This was a big defensive battle today for both teams. I thought our defense did a tremendous job. Really, honestly, that defensive front. I mean, as what Brandon and I had discussed before the season had started, honestly, this defensive front is scary, and they showed it today. I mean, man, Deron Payne, Jonathan Allen, Montez Sweat, those guys, and it was unfortunate that Chase Young did not play, but if Chase Young can get back into the mix, oh, it's just going to be mm, icing on top, right? At least we hope. At least we hope. But there are definitely a lot of things to be concerned about. Things that need to be cleaned up. First of all, the turnovers in the first half, very inexcusable. Um, Interceptions, fumbles, stuff like that. Um, Here's what I'm going to say about Sam Howell. Sam Howell, he's a baller, but he's going to make some mistakes. He's going to go through some growing pains, okay? I mean, this is only his second start in the regular season. So we have to be cognizant about that, realize that this guy's not going to be mistake-free football. He's got some growing to do, obviously. And so with Sam Howell, it wasn't his greatest game per se. Um, but he had a tough time as well. That offensive line, and this was something that I was very concerned about, certainly in the preseason. The offensive line is going to take a while to gel, and this is something that I spoke about in a few videos back. It's going to take a while for the offensive line to gel. They're not going to be playing great football in the beginning, and it showed it there in this game. There was some missed assignments that led to some quarterback sacks, obviously. Also, there were some quarterback sacks that Sam took that, of course, he kind of stays in the pocket holding the football a little long sometimes. But at the same time, I do like his poise. I like the fact that he is calm under pressure, that he does have good pocket presence for the most part, moves around in the pocket. I mean, he is a slippery guy. It is tough to get Sam Howell down, but there were some free shots to Sam Howell. Those things have got to be cleaned up, for sure. I mean, you cannot have Sam Howell take shots like that and Howell be healthy throughout the entire season. Now that shot earlier on by White in the beginning of the game, oh man, I mean, I was really fearing that Sam Howell was going to have a concussion after that. I mean, that was a wicked shot. But one thing that I really appreciated was the fact that the team, I mean, they started to get into a little scrum there, and they stood up for their quarterback. I really enjoyed seeing that. Um, but I'm telling you, definitely it was a sloppy game as far as the offense goes, in the respects of that offensive line, um, you know, not taking care of the football, the turnovers. Those things have to be cleaned up. The defensive side of the football, excellent, excellent. Um, I mean that defensive front, man, just excellent. Just enjoyed watching them feed that whole game. Even at the point to where it looked like Arizona was starting to kind of settle down and starting to get things going, that defensive front said, no way. No, we are not going to let you settle down and get comfortable and start putting together some drives. They kept Dobbs in check for the most part, put pressure on him that whole game, which was one of the keys that Brandon and I had talked about. Put some pressure on Dobbs because he's going to have to struggle, and he struggled. He definitely did. You could not let Dobbs sit back there and have time to pass the football. He didn't. They put pressure on him, and it really helped. Running game, Arizona, you know, they had to fight for everything they got. I mean, my hat's off to Arizona. They played a lot better than I gave them credit for. They really did. They have a stout defense. They really do. I don't think that they're necessarily going to be a team that is going to be, uh, you know, I guess, giving up the entire season for, was it Caleb Williams? Is that who the quarterback is supposed to be, the top 10 quarterback for next year's draft? Um, but I just think that there's a lot of good things that we can get from this game, but there's a lot to worry about as well. Um, One thing that they did not do that I wished that the Commanders had done was one of our other keys to the game was to get on top of Arizona quickly, because Arizona is not going to they were not going to be one of these teams that you allow to just kind of hang around in the ball game. And of course, look what happened. We started giving started giving the game away. The Commanders were really beating themselves. While I am never one to really not give other teams credit. I mean, let's face it, Washington was beating themselves in that first half. They really were, and they were going to score when Antonio Gibson fumbled. They were going to go in and score, and so that was points taken off of the scoreboard because of that turnover right there. And of course, Arizona scored off of the Sam Howell uh, fumble deep in their own territory there. So, but those were things that Washington. I mean, again, they were beating themselves up in the first half. I tell you, I'm sitting there, I'm watching this game, and even still, I don't have this thought of they're going to lose this football game. I felt that they are not they are not doing the right things right now, obviously, but they're going to get this together. They're going to get themselves together. It's going to be okay. And that was kind of my mentality watching this game, throughout the second half. I'm like, they're going to be okay. The defense is going to help us out. Uh, Howell's going to be okay. Eric Bieniemy's going to start calling some plays to kind of calm Howell down, and that's exactly what happened. The defense stepped up, and they were like, "No, no, you're not doing this. This is a new era. This is not Dan Snyder loser football. This is Josh Harris. This is a new era. This is Washington football the way it's supposed to be played." And a much better second half for the Washington Commanders. But yeah, certainly things, the offensive line has got to get better, and we have got to be able to tighten up these turnovers. You can't have turnovers, and you got to have better protection for your quarterback. Those two things are really the biggest things. If Washington can get better on the offensive line and can eliminate these turnovers, I think they're going to be fine. But you're not going to win, especially when you start playing some of these other games coming up. That's going to be much tougher opponents. You're not going to turn the ball over 3 or 4 times a ball game and expect to win. That's not going to happen. But folks, overall, I think that it was a very tough win, but it was a win nevertheless. I am happy. I'm trying to find all of the stats here. I may have to go to ESPN because the NFL Network or the NFL website doesn't always give you the best stats. So I am going to go to ESPN and go there and see if I can look at. Oh yeah, here we go. So Sam Howell, he was 19 for 31, 202 yards. He averaged 6.5 yards per pass, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He was sacked 6 times. That was a lot, getting sacked 6 times. And if you think that is not going to rattle some cobwebs in the old noggin there, I mean, oof. Brian Robinson Jr. He had 19 carries for 59 yards, 3.1 yards average. Sam Howell, he rushed for a couple of rushes for 11 yards. Antonio Gibson had 3 carries. Chris Rodriguez had 3 carries. Curtis Samuel had that 1 carry. So overall, for rushing the team as a whole, 92 yards. So I would like to see a little bit more of a balance. Again, that was one of Brandon Scott's, my co-host. That was one of his keys to the game is a balanced offense. And I felt like we weren't as balanced as I felt like we should be. Receiving, Curtis Samuel had 5 catches for 54 yards. Logan Thomas had 4. Jahan Dotson also had 5 receptions for 40 yards. Terry McLaurin, two targets. He was targeted more than that, but he had 2 catches, 31 yards. Cole Turner had 1 catch. Antonio Gibson 1 catch. Ryan Robertson 1 catch. Logan Thomas, shaky start. Very shaky start. Honestly, I was kind of like, why is Cole Turner not in there? Cole Turner only had that 1 catch, but I mean, it was a fantastic catch. And I would like to see more Cole Turner. And I'm thinking exactly what's going to happen is that he is going to start to take over for Logan Thomas. I really think that's going to happen. Because he just seems like, well, of course he's younger, but he just seems like a better athlete to me at this point. And I just think that's what you're going to see. But then again, Logan Thomas and Cole Turner both on the field at the same time would be great. To have some of those packages like that, especially when you're in the goal line package, that would be fantastic. Let's see, Patriot Clip says, Howell got seriously rattled in game 1. He looked lost out there in the second half. B&M play calling was terrible in my opinion. Let's hope they bounce back. Otherwise, it's going to be a rough season. I don't know if I would say that B&M's play calling was terrible. I thought it was okay. I would like to have seen some more running, certainly. They did a lot more running plays, certainly later on when they're trying to milk the clock. But I don't know. I think the thing is, it's not so much play calling as I think it really comes down to the offensive line. I think if that offensive line can gel and can become a little more improved, um, and can show some consistency with protecting the quarterback, then the play calling is going to look just fine. You got to admit, it is so much better than Scott Turner's offense, which is funny because I'm reading same old boring Scott Turner offense. Um, I mean, I, I I don't see that. Again, I think I think first game of the season, offensive line as bad as it is, I don't know. I give the offensive line a little time to gel. I think the play calling, you'll see that it is a lot better than it was last year. Um, it does. Everything needs to improve. But you have a very athletic quarterback with a good arm, much better arm than what Taylor Heineke had. That's for sure. You've got a quarterback who he's calm under pressure, but I think he may have gotten a little rattled just because he got some big hits on him there in the first half, and that's going to rattle anybody. But he's also got to be protected better, and so I don't know. I mean, I didn't think that the play calling was that bad, um, but I will say this: um, when you're in these weather conditions with the rain and all of that, um, that's going to affect your play calling. When you have a tough defense like you have, um, Arizona had a very tough defense. I think that it's going to affect how you're not going to. I just think that sometimes you have to protect your quarterback, and there may have been a little protecting the quarterback with some of the play calling, and I'm sure that kind of affected things as well. See, the enemy kept dropping Howell way back after pick after fumble, sack after sack. Um, Refused to run in first half. You're right, the run play stacked up uh, at the end. Yeah, I would say this. I think when your quarterback when your quarterback is getting sacked a lot, getting pressured, and your offensive line is very shaky as far as its pass protection, I think you call some more timing passes, that some more short slants, some getting the ball out of your quarterback's hands much faster, and certainly calling some more running plays. And I think just building momentum like that. Um, Now, I'm wondering though, with Howell dropping back as much as he did, was that on Howell, or was that the design of the play? I wonder about that sometimes. Maybe Howell was dropping way back because he's trying to get away from the shaky, protection of the offense. I don't know. I don't know, but the one thing I do know is it's got to get better up front. It's definitely got to get better up front, um, because it's going to get much harder. It's going to get much harder, folks, for them. But the defense, let's talk about the defense now, because the defense was outstanding. That defensive line, man, I tell you what, that defensive line could have played their best game that I've seen them play. Can't Cameron Curl. Now you're on the guys know that when I'm on these podcasts, I jump around way too much. So yeah, I went from the defensive line to suddenly I'm in the secondary. But Cameron Curl, he played outstanding, lights out. Um, Emmanuel Forbes played a great game today as well. He did have that one big catch against him. Looked like Brown kind of pushed off, but receivers get away with that all the time. But he played great. Of course, he had that pass breakup at the end of the game to kind of seal the deal. Could have intercepted it, honestly. Would have loved to have seen him get the pick, but pass breakup. I thought Jamie Davis played really well. Linebackers did a pretty good job, but I mean that defensive front. See, I'm going back to it. That defensive front just, I mean, getting into the backfield as much as they did. Deron Payne, how much of a beast is Deron Payne? I mean, come on, guys. That dude is a beast. Um, a lot of times these guys get paid, and then you're like, okay, they're turning it off. I got paid and putting in cruise control. Not these guys. Not Deron Payne. Not Jonathan Allen. Jonathan Allen getting a sack today. Montez Sweat's going to get paid. I just hope he gets paid by the Washington Commanders, not by anybody else. Chase Young, I hope he can get in there and get him some, because I tell you right now, we're just fine without him. We really are. We don't need him at this point. But it's just cherry on top if we do have him and he's playing well. Yeah, Patriot Clips is talking about Sam Howell kind of hesitating. I kind of see that. You know, Sometimes Sam Howell, I think he holds on to the ball because he's trying to extend the play. Sometimes I think he's like, he doesn't want to be. He's the type of quarterback that he can beat you with his legs, but he's always looking to pass the ball first, and he's also the type that I see some of these quarterbacks where they're like they've got that clock going off, and they want to get rid of that football because it's like hot potato to them, and they're trying to look around and see if they're going to get sacked while they're also trying to go through their progressions. And Sam Howell, to me he's kind of calm, almost to the point to where it's like, all right, your time is done. You gotta do something. So I think it's kind of a good thing and bad thing. Certainly, it's good that he is that calm, that he is going to go through his progressions, and he's going to try to move around the pocket the most he can to get the ball downfield. He's not going to be rattled, but he's going to take some hits. I just hope that he stays healthy. Yeah. Defense looked outstanding. Even more reason to run the ball on offense and rely on, and to relieve the pressure on Howell. It kind of reminds me of that first year of Joe Gibbs, where he wanted to bring in the Don Coryell high flying offense, and they had a great attractive offense that Joe Gibbs brought in, but they were losing games. Like, they started off 0-5, and they finally realized they have to run the football, and so they changed their offense up, and they started to hand the ball off to John Riggins, and then they wound up finishing the season 8-8. And this may be one of those situations where, you remember Ron last year, he said he wanted to run the football more. He wanted to be like 2-1 run to pass. Maybe that's what happens. Maybe they start to see that, we do have Brian Robinson, we do have Antonio Gibson, and Chris Rodriguez. So why don't we start feeding these guys the football and take the pressure off of Sam Howell? And yes, we're loaded at wide receiver, but maybe we start pounding the football more, and that's going to also help that offensive line continue to gel, and then we start striking them over the top. It's old school football, but guess what? We got old school coaches, and it's not always a bad thing. So I wouldn't mind seeing more of a running game. But you're going to see a lower scoring offense as well, especially in this day and age. So I wouldn't expect to see this team putting up 40 plus points running the football a lot. Um, but with this defense, you probably don't have to put up that many points. This defense may be able to keep the scoring down, under 20. And if that's the case, then maybe you can score, 20 to 25 points a ball game and win. But yeah, this defense, sacks. Montez Sweat had 1.5 sacks. Jonathan Allen had 1 sack. Abdul Anderson had a half sack. So total the team, they only had 3 sacks to 6 sacks that Arizona had. But Arizona had a little bit better of a offensive line, but not much better, honestly. I mean, we got in the backfield quite a bit. Overall, though, Cameron Curl had 8 solo tackles. He was all over the place. Jamie Davis, 4 solo tackles. Kendall Fuller, Kendall Fuller did okay, I think, today. I was really I was paying more attention, obviously, to Emmanuel Forbes, guys like that, Benjamin St. Juice, Derek Forrest. Man, I tell you what, I love Derek Forrest. I love him, man. He has just become a baller. He really has. And how about this? Our special teams. Our special teams were lights out today. Just excellent work with our special teams. I really enjoyed how our special teams played, pinning the Arizona Cardinals back deep in their own territory quite a bit, not allowing much yak after the catch. They played great. Jeremy Reeves out there making plays, Tress Way just booming those punts. Just a fantastic day, I thought, by the special teams. I was really proud of special teams and defense. But overall, sloppy game, sloppy weather, but it was a win. It was a win at home, and it was great. There were mostly Washington Commanders fans, is what it looked like in the stands, which was just wonderful to see. It looked like it was really loud out there. The fans were into it. I hadn't seen that in a long time. So it's great to see that. I hope we continue to see that at home games throughout this season, especially when we get into those NFC East games, because you tend to see a lot of Dallas fans, Giants fans, and certainly Eagles fans, a lot of other colors coming into those stands and kind of, coloring those stands a little bit of other colors than the burgundy and gold. So I'm hoping that we can kind of, tune that down a little bit. But hey, this was a great win. We expected to win this game, but we expected to win this game a little bit more handedly than what happened. And I think that's the only thing that gives all of us pause, certainly, is the fact that this was not a game that was won the way that we felt it should have been won. But that's kind of the nature of this team, that they tend to they tend to barely win games that they should really win handily, and sometimes they lose games by a lot that you would think they would play a better game with. I'm just looking at some of the other scores as well throughout the league. San Francisco had an easy time against Pittsburgh, beat them 30-7. Jacksonville topped Indy 31-21. Carolina loses to Atlanta 24-10. So Bryce Young's debut as the Carolina Panthers quarterback comes up empty. New Orleans edges the Tennessee Titans 16-15. So talking about a defensive battle right there. Tampa Bay beats Minnesota today 20-17. Always curious. I always keep an eye on Minnesota. Why? Kirk Cousins, right? I'm always interested to see how our ex quarterbacks do, and I always like Kirk Cousins, but kind of starting to wonder if his time in Minnesota is done. They lose. Let's see, Cleveland. This was big. Cleveland beats Cincy 24-3. Wow. 24-3. Let me look at the stats in that game because so Deshaun Watson was 16 of 29 for 154 yards, one TD, one interception. And Joe Burrow, he did play. He was 14 of 31 for only 82 yards. He did get sacked twice in this game. No interceptions, no touchdowns. So I tell you that I am surprised. I'm very surprised at that. Wouldn't have thought that would have been a better showing by Cincy. So wow. What other scores do we have? I think I kind of flipped through these a little bit too quickly. So Baltimore beats Houston 25-9, and what is this one? Okay, of course, the one on Thursday night, Detroit and Kansas City. Games right now: Green Bay, the love generation starts, and Green Bay's up 7-0. Philly 16-0 up over the Patriots, and Miami and LA Chargers are tied at 7. The LA Rams over Seahawks right now 7-3. So that's what we've got right now. Coming up tonight, you got big NFC East matchup between the Dallas Cowboys and the New York Giants. I may tune in that game a little bit, but yeah, other than that, that's what's happening right now, folks. But here we go. Let me know in the comments what you think. If you guys have, I'm not going to keep this going for very long, this stream. I just wanted to pop on here and just kind of give you my rundown after game one. I don't normally hop on streams quickly after games, but figured I'd try that this year and kind of see how things are. I may not do this after every single game, and I may. Who knows? But other than that, folks, hey, guess what? Win's a win. We're 1-0. This is great. And we are now going into a week 2. And I think we are playing, is it Denver that we're playing next week? Let's go into week 2. And yes, we will travel to Denver. This is a 4 o'clock game, 4:25 kickoff. This will be on CBS. It would be the Washington Commanders versus the Denver Broncos. So that will be an interesting game there. Denver is that's going to be a pretty tough game, I think. So let's I can't remember. I'm going to have to go back and rewatch the video of me and Brandon. I can't remember if we picked us to actually win that game. I think that's an L. I think we're starting off 1-1 on there, especially if our offensive line continues to kind of have the showing that they showed in this game. But well, we'll see, folks. Well, I am going to go ahead and end this stream, and folks, I'm telling you, let me know how I did. And just to let you know, be prepared because we will be doing a recording tomorrow night with a special guest. You're going to want to tune in for that, so please do not miss that. I will try to have that out as soon as that we're done with the recording. So just be on the lookout. It may be released a little later tomorrow evening, but I'm going to try to have it out as soon as possible. So please be looking out for that, folks. All right, take care. I will see you in the next one. Hell to the Washington Commanders, folks. Let's go, all of you maniacs out there. Come on, let's get behind this channel. Let's get behind this team. New era, new season, 1-0. Love you guys. I'll talk to you later.